Okay, you guys, if you didn't see it, there's a longer version of taking you legit from blank page to 2 pages of this word, which is nothing. If you really cram all this, could be 1 page or 1 1/4, right? But this is, what does your future you look like? Everyone, I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, an athlete, doing a regular white collar job, whatever it is, everyone has improvement, whether it's psychological, right? Whether it's emotional, whether it's physical, or whether it's spiritual, right? Spiritual is really for your heart. Emotional is really here because emotions are just a reaction, right? And you can always change your reaction, but also you feel something sometimes, right? Not everyone, but some people do feel. I'm someone who feels more and reacts more emotionally than mentally, right? And that's fine. You can still do really good. That's why the side note, there's 2 types of sales rep. Someone who's very logical, who can get you there. Someone who's emotional, right? And you just gotta, or the customer, you gotta figure out who they are and how to get them there, right? So it's kind of like that. So what I basically did, to keep it as simple and short for this video, is what does future, and write your name, look like, question mark. And then I wrote future and your name, dot, dot, dot. And you write 6 things, right? 6 things about what your future you does. And I think we all know what we want to do and want to become. And we tell ourselves we don't know how to get there, and we don't know how to break it down, because a lot of entrepreneurs say just break it down and make it simple. But you tell yourself you don't know, but you really do. I'm going to tell you how. You know, maybe you're not the best at communicating, and you know others around you are not best at communicating. So it's just a continued cycle, let's say, right? So in order for you to become a better communicator with them, they obviously react on their emotion. You probably do the same. So what if you stopped acting on your emotion and tried your best, no matter how many times they're going to keep doing it and scolding you for changing and whatever isn't getting better? What if you just kept on a direction of getting there and changing, and then once you do, it's just on them? Or it could be through embarrassing yourself. It could be through taking rest, all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to tell you what I wrote down. So the first thing I wrote down, was which was the longest one, I think, was future Jamal. And the first one is, doesn't overreact or react instantly in hard times. Takes a deep breath and takes the best course of action. And then in brackets, doesn't act on emotions. Now, doesn't act on emotions is a simple thing, or doesn't overreact, right? Now, what does that look like? Let's say I'm in a conversation. Let's say I just made 10K my first month. Let's say someone, I heard bad news from somebody else, and someone's trying to get my opinion on it. Let's say I lost a lot of money. These are all good and bad, or negative and positive things that happen in your life, right? And they both could be hard. They're both technically hard. If you make 10K your first month, it's really hard not to think, I'm over the moon, let me splurge, let me go buy this, let me go buy that. It's hard to stay grounded and be like, okay, what's the next step, right? And when you're having a hard conversation, someone tells you hard news, you're like, you might feel emotional about it and you might overreact, right? So what is the first thing in each instance? What is the first thing? I wrote, as the breakdown, right, is take a deep breath in anything hard. Just hear the information, take it what it is, and right? That's what I would do, right? I don't care if it's corny, I don't care what it is. That's how I know I processed it. Now I'm gonna take a deep breath before, like thinking before you say anything, or thinking before you react. So then the next step after that is think about what I will say or do, and if it makes sense. So let's say someone told me, Jamal, I don't like what you're wearing. It looks kind of corny. You look dumb. Okay. And then I respond with, I think about it. If I say, why the hell would you say that? You're a weirdo. Does that make sense to say? Or if I say, appreciate it, man, thank you. Does that make sense? Or it could be something very like, it puts it back on them, where it's like, was like, there's a psychological guy on social media, I forgot his name, but he will say, like, you ask him a question, but just take a deep breath, like, was your intention to hurt my feelings, or were you trying to get feedback? And then they're like, that makes the most sense, right? Out of all those 3 options, one of them is like, throwing it off, whatever. They might insult you further. One of them is just like, you're playing their game. It's just 2 stupid people having a stupid conversation. And then the fourth one is, you're acknowledging it, and then you're asking them, because you don't know their intentions, Were you trying to be insulting, or were you trying to give feedback? Right? And then you just say, if they're trying to be, obviously they probably won't say insulting. Oh, like, oh no, I was trying to give feedback, or no, I'm joking. You can be like, that wasn't a nice joke. And then now the ball's in my play, right? So or the ball's in my court, right? And then if they say, oh no, I was just critiquing, be like, what do you not like exactly about it? And then they tell you, and they're like, okay, great. Thanks for the feedback. It's just originally it didn't look like you articulated yourself right. It came off as insulting. Boom. Now I'm just like, whoa. Jamal never used to have those conversations. Jamal would genuinely get overstimulated and react and get pissed or say something like, I was about to say snazzy, but more so of like snappy. That's the right word, right? So that's just one, right? And I'm gonna go through all of them, and I'm not gonna break them all, but you get an idea of how it looks like. But Jamal also not overreacting and doesn't act on emotion. The next one is future Jamal isn't afraid of embarrassment, right? The next one is future Jamal takes calculated risks and big risks. Next one is future Jamal is totally okay with doing boring work no matter what for multiple hours at a time. The next one is able to say no if it helps him reach his goals, even if it's at the expense of someone else. I think that's a better I said on at the expense of someone else. And then future Jamal doesn't care about what is going on. He will always be disciplined in his work, health, mind, and spirit, right? That's as simple as that. And each one has a breakdown. To keep it short and simple, isn't afraid of embarrassment, not worried about what others do, so don't judge. The longer portion of the video, I kind of explain each and every one, so if you want it there. When I'm afraid or hesitant, and when I am afraid or hesitant, means I have to do it, right? It takes calculated risk and big risk. Every time a pivot arrives, look at it and see if it really makes sense, and then keep trying multiple things as many times as possible for as little as possible. It's a Netflix quote. And then is totally okay with is able to say no if it helps him reach his goals, even if it's at the expense of someone else. Not in a bad way, rude way, but I'm just not worried about what others want. Not worried about others' wants, and focused on my own. Say no for me, right? Like going out, all that stuff, whatever's right. And then when it comes to doing the boring work and the discipline part, it's just no matter how I feel, get it done for my overall goals, because that is what will take me to my destination. Now, you do it. You write what does future you do, and write about I think really you can write 3 things, like keep it as minimal, but this is just all these 6 is something that I want to see in my future self, truly. And I might just start with 3 or 2 or 1, and then I might just start with 1 and work my way down, right? But at least I have a clear vision, so that if I'm not holding myself accountable, I can look at what I've said. I have documentation, right? So it's as simple as that. What does future you look like, and how do they do it, right? Or what do they do to get to that place? And the easiest way to think about it is someone you admire, that you look up to, whether on social media, whether on in person, right? Those are the main 2 things. When you see them do it, what do they do? And then recreate that. All right, thank you.